Hello, CalTPA community. This is Keisha from the CalTPA group, your resident expert for all things CalTPA. Today we are talking about Cycle 2, writing rubrics. In the CalTPA, you're used to looking at the rubrics to determine how you're going to be scored, the words that you should be using, the constructs that they are looking for to make sure that you understand or that you know how to write so that the assessors know that you understand what you are doing for the CalTPA. In Cycle 2, you are also responsible for writing your own rubrics. Rubrics that allow you and the students to assess their learning. So let's talk about them separately. First, let's talk about the student self-assessment. The student self-assessment has two parts, and it's not super clear in the TPA. The first part of the student self-assessment is the actual assessment, the work that the students are going to look at to determine if they're meeting the learning goal. That assessment does not have to be a test. It does not have to be a quiz. The assessment is a worksheet, a assignment, a problem they have to solve, something that they can look at to determine, am I meeting the learning goal? Right? It can be done anywhere along the way, but most useful is to make sure that they're assessing the lesson plan sequence goals before you give them a formal assessment. The purpose of a self-assessment is for students to be able to determine on their own, am I meeting these learning goals? Am I ready for the formal assessment? And the teacher can use that as feedback to say, yes, the students feel comfortable and they're ready to move on, or, whoa, I didn't realize I have a handful of students that really feel like they're not understanding this concept. I should review before moving on. So the student assessment is the work that students are going to assess themselves on. The self-assessment rubric is the rubric you're going to create that aligns with the self-assessment, or in the assessment guide, it's called the corresponding rubric, right? It's the rubric that goes with the assignment that they did, that students can give themselves a score that says, yes, I'm confident in this. No, I'm not confident in this, or I'm pretty confident, right? I believe that a 3-point rubric aligns with the expectations for the formal assessment and is an appropriate number for students to be able to use on their own. So you're going to create a rubric that students use to look at their assignment and determine if they've met the standard, if they're understanding, how confident they are on that, right? You can put some constructs in there. For the young students, you can use emojis at the top to help them determine what does a 3, a 2, or a 1 really represent. And then you're going to walk them through it and talk them through it when you are teaching it anyway. Then there's the formal assessment and formal assessment rubric. For some assignments, it makes sense that these assessments are the same and that the rubrics are the same. And in that case, if it makes the most sense, then do that. And you can just upload it twice. But generally, the formal assessment is some variation of an informal assessment or the practice that the students did for their self-assessment. And then the scoring rubric that you're going to use to determine if they're a 3, a 2, or a 1. I'm going to recommend that you write in constructs on this one, similar to the constructs on the CalTPA rubrics. Something that identifies what makes it a 1, a 2, or a 3. I'm adding this as new information that I haven't really suggested in the past. But as I continue to watch the scores and watch what the assessors are focusing on, making sure that you can determine the differences between a 3, 2, and 1, and be able to find the patterns of learning so that when you're doing your reflection, the rubric can be used helpfully to determine that students are getting it or not, and why. And so when you put in the constructs and you can determine that a student is at a 3 because they meet these specific criteria, and you put those criteria on it, writing for your reflection is going to be much easier. So as I continue to grow and to learn and to move and to shift as the grading and the assessment changes and shifts, I'm going to recommend that at least on your formal assessment rubric that you put constructs or written pieces, just like in the CalTPA ones, that descriptors that tell exactly what determines a 3, a 2, and a 1. The CalTPA is a beast. CalTPA 2 in particular has many parts and pieces, and they're not clearly delineated with a good checklist or structure in the assessment guide. And so what I've done is taken all that I've seen, all that I've learned, my expertise, and created the CalTPA All You Need to Succeed, a step-by-step program that makes sure to help you implement and integrate all the key elements of the TPA before you get to the end and say, oh, I didn't know I had to do that. Right? Nothing's worse than getting to the end and finding that you missed a spot and have to go back and try to fix it, integrate it, and make sure that you're consistent across the board. So join me for an easy to follow, step-by-step program that provides examples aligned to the rubrics. It help with planning your lessons, planning guides, and lifetime access at the CalTPA All You Need to Succeed video program. You can find me in the CalTPA group on Facebook, and I am here to help you get your credential by passing your CalTPA. So I look forward to being a part of your journey. Thank you for watching today, and have a great day.